template of predator versus prey has been a popular subject for cartoons, giving the animators millions of possibilities for scenarios and especially gags. Many companies already have their own popular duo with the formula, like MGM with Tom and Jerry, Disney with Chip and Dale with either Pluto or Donald Duck, and even Warner Brothers themselves already have a few like Sylvester and Tweety. And then there are these two, who ended up failing their original mission. They were meant to be a parody of this old trope, but instead, they completely revolutionized it and became the most beloved examples of it. They are, of course, Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. What both the Coyote and the Roadrunner have to go through is rather simple. Coyote's hungry, aims for Roadrunner, tries to catch it with maybe the help of something from the Acme Corporation, screws up, either gets squished by a rock or falls, rinse and repeat. The idea of this duo came in the mind of Chuck Jones, who thought about a parody of that old cat and mouse routine like the Tom and Jerry cartoons. He decided that his predator character would be a coyote, based on the description by Mark Twain in his book Roughing It. He described it
as a long, slim, slick, and sorry-looking skeleton. A living, breathing allegory of want. He is always hungry.
As for the specific look of him, Jones decided to have the coyote be modeled after animator Ken Harris, while also getting the Roadrunner's signature sound from background artist Paul Julian. Meep meep. The first time that they went on their little chasing game was on September 17th, 1949 with Fast and Furious, and then 3 years later, they would go on to have a long run of cartoons, all of which directed by Chuck Jones and written by Mike Maltese for the first 16 episodes. On top of that, as production would move on, background artist Maurice Noble would progressively go from a realistic backdrop to a more stylized rendition of the canyons, which, funny enough, makes the scenery look more believable for the characters to be set in. It's actually worth noting, however, that the coyote doesn't always chase the Roadrunner. On several occasions, he would take a break and go after Bugs Bunny, starting with Wile E's second cartoon, Operation Rabbit. And surprisingly enough, he would only speak when he's with Bugs and present his full name.
Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Wile E. Coyote. Genius.
He would then try to get Bugs again in 1956's To Hair is Human, 1960's Rabbit's Feet, 1961's Compressed Hair, and 1963's Hairbreadth Hurry. Oh, and also, To Hair is Human is noted to be the final cartoon made in Termite Terrace before the crew moved to a bigger lot in Burbank. Jones would continue making these cartoons until the end of the Golden Era in 1964 with War and Pieces. It is also worth noting that the 1961 Beep Prepared would be the duo's only Oscar-nominated cartoon. If we could take a few steps back in 1962, Chuck, along with his other animators Maurice Noble and Tom Ray, made a 26-minute film called Adventures of the Roadrunner, which was a pilot to what would hopefully become a TV series with the duo. Unfortunately, it didn't work out as well, and the pilot was split into 3 cartoons. 1963's To Beep or Not to Beep, 1965's Roadrunner A-Go-Go, and Zip Zip Hooray. After the Golden Era, when the Looney Tunes were in the hands of DePatie Freleng Enterprises, and Chuck Jones would move on to make the Tom and Jerry tunes, the cartoons were now done by Rudy Lariva, which was faced with many criticisms since they don't have the legendary timing of the ones made by Jones. On 2 occasions, Bob McKimson played with the characters in 1965's Rushing Roulette, and the last of these tunes with 1963's Sugar and Spies. As for the idea of a Roadrunner TV show, it wouldn't come into fruition until 1966 with The Roadrunner Show, which presented all the Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner cartoons from 1949 to 1966. The show itself would only last 2 years, since in 1968, CBS decided to combine the series with the Bugs Bunny show in order to form the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner Hour. While the two settled their time on television, they would make their comeback in 1979 during the Christmas special Bugs Bunny's Looney Christmas Tales with the short Freeze Frame, with Chuck Jones back in the director's chair. On top of that, he even gave one of the characters top bill and have the cartoons appear in the 3rd act of the Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner movie. From then on, Jones would go and direct 2 additional Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner cartoons, with 1980's Soup or Sonic and 1994's Chariots of Fur. During the 90s and the 2000s on television, Wile E. Coyote would be the dean of Acme Looniversity in Tiny Toons Adventures, and the two would have their own spin-off characters in the show with Calamity Coyote and Little Beeper. They even have another pair of spin-off characters in Lunatics Unleashed with Tech E. Coyote and Rev Runner as part of the Lunatics. In 2013, TV Guide would go on and list Wile E. Coyote in their 60 nastiest villains of all time. On top of making many appearances in movies, games, and TV shows, believe it or not, there have been some very recent Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner cartoons. Before they would play a few Warner Brothers family films like Cats and Dogs, The Revenge of Kitty Galore, Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole, and Yogi Bear, they would show a computer-animated short by Real Effects like Coyote Falls, Furra Flying, Rabbit Rider, and Flash in the Pain respectively, all of which written by Tom Shepard and directed by Matthew O'Callaghan. As you can see, even after many decades of endless chasing and failed Acme products, Wile E will never give up trying to catch that bird, and we will always be watching, no matter which generation it is, ready for the laughs every time. See ya, see you later, dudes!